welcome to this week's car review. As you can see, I'm having a bit of fun with this week's car. This week's car is the Chevy Camaro SS. The V8 version is the SS, of course. And it's a good time to be reviewing this car because this current generation is coming to an end. In fact, the new generation of the Camaro gets released next month, about mid next month. And you know, it's been around for about 5-6 years now, and it's a cool car. Obviously the new Mustang's just been released and it's sort of stepped up the game, improved the interiors, improved the handling. So yeah, it's a good time for Chevy to be refreshing the Camaro. But in the meantime, you know, this sort of 5th generation Camaro has, I've always loved the look of them, and of course we all love the sound of them. And you know, what is special about muscle cars or pony cars? Well, you know, you're getting so much for your money. You know, this car is less than half the price of my M4, and you're getting what, 80 or 90% of the performance. You're getting that great sound, you're getting a lot of driver involvement. You know, it's an overall really fantastic value package. That said, you know, it's not perfect. This car definitely needs some updates. The interior, I'll talk about that when we get to the interior section, but the interior it looks like more than a 10-year-old car, and it's a brand new car. You know, hard plastics, and you know, a lot of the switch gear and dials and everything from back in the bad days of GM. But I'm sure they're going to fix all that with the next generation. But underneath, you've got the LS3 6.2 litre V8, which just makes the most glorious sounds, and has that beautiful torquey pushrod V8 that we all love. So there's a lot to love about this car. And of course, this car is also the manual transmission, which makes me miss having a manual transmission. You know, it's just so much fun to drive. So yeah, and today of course I have brought along both gorillas because they love muscle cars as well, and they're enjoying themselves in the back seat. They're a little bit afraid of my driving, but you know, we haven't crashed yet, so that's good. Anyway, so what are we going to do in this review? Well, I'm going to take it for a bit of a drive on these twisty roads for you, which is really the place where this car loves to be the most, I think, and also highway driving. Then we're going to take a look around the outside of the car and have a look inside the car, and at the end I'm going to give you some conclusions and talk a little bit about the competition, you know, the Ford and the Dodge versions of the pony cars. You know, right now I would give the edge to the Ford Mustang, of course, because it's a brand new car. It's a little softer than this Camaro, but it's got all the mod cons inside, and it's got so many toys. It's, you know, it's the latest generation. I'm sure, just like any other car, that they do these leaps over each other as each new generation comes through. But you know, I've always loved the Camaro as well. It's such a pretty car on the outside, and this particular one with the 1LE performance pack, it's got such great tight handling, and they've done some great cosmetic changes to the car that makes it look so good on the outside. But we'll talk about that when we take a tour of the outside. Meantime, we'll start with some specifications of this car. Okay, so what are the specifications of this car? Well, of course, the heart of this car is because it's an SS, is the pushrod V8. It's a 6.2 litre, 376 cubic inch LS3 engine, which has been sort of distributed throughout a lot of GM cars, including the Corvette. That engine puts out about 420 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque, which can propel this car from 0 to 60 miles an hour or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in about 4.5 seconds. This is the LE1 package, the track package version of this car, which only comes with the manual transmission. It has, here's a good bit, it has an official fuel rating of 16 miles to the gallon city and 24 miles to the gallon highway, which is hilarious that they've managed to convince someone in the government that it can actually do that. There's no way this car can do those fuel ratings. Around the city you're probably getting 10 or 11 miles to the gallon. In fact, if you push the car a little bit around the city, you're into single digits in this car. And on the highway, certainly in my experience and talking to the owner of this car, you're late teens probably if you take it easy, or early teens if you're pushing it hard. So yeah, there's no way it's managing the fuel efficiency that they claim. And part of that is it's a heavy car. You know, this is an older generation now. It's closing on 400 pounds of weight, which is one of the downsides of this car. You know, it doesn't detract from the enjoyment of driving this car. It just needs to go on a bit of a diet, and I'm sure the next generation will address that. The next generation is based on a smaller platform, so it will definitely be at least 200, maybe 300 or 400 pounds lighter, which will be fantastic and certainly improve the fuel efficiency. Fuel efficiency, really, part of the problem with the fuel efficiency is that this is a pushrod V8, which, you know, we love pushrod V8s because the sound they make and the torque they produce, but it's old technology, and it's never going to be fantastic on fuel efficiency. So it'd be interesting to see what future engines they put in these cars to help with fuel efficiency. But otherwise, you know, it's at 400 horsepower, it's got plenty of power, and of course it makes the right noises. It's the type of power plant you want in your pony car. Okay, on to the fun part, driving the car. Rock and roll! Yeah, and what a fun car this is to drive. It really, the soundtrack. I've cracked the window a little bit so we can try and get some more of the external sounds in here. But, you know, despite the fact this is a pretty heavy car, this gorgeous engine just gets it up and rolling so quickly, and it just makes such a great sound. It's, you know, I'm driving in some of these Connecticut back roads, which is really the perfect place to be test driving this car. You know, and this 1LE package that he's got on this car, this track package, just makes this car handle so well. And I'm getting some great feedback in the pedals and great feedback in the steering. The lovely big fat tires on this car, you give it plenty of grip. It's just a lot of fun to drive. It really is a lot of fun to drive. You know, it's a bit of a sensory overload in a way, with the sounds coming at you and the feeling and so forth through the wheel. But it just makes it a joy to drive. It really does. It is such a great car. You know, if I compare it a little bit to my M4, you know, the M4 is a completely different car. Obviously, it's twice the price, but you know, you're having most of the fun in this car still. The M4 is a lot tighter car to drive. This car is a little looser in the steering wheel, and I guess my biggest complaint about driving this car is perhaps the transmission. The transmission's easy enough to use. You know, I haven't missed any of the gears, I haven't launched any of the gears, but it makes some pretty strange noises, this transmission. Especially when you're going slowly, you can hear it clattering and clunking and making alarm, sometimes not alarming, but odd noises that for a brand new car you wouldn't expect. So yeah, I certainly hope that they improve the transmission. You know, it works well enough, and the clutch is fairly light, and you know, even just jumping straight into this car, I felt comfortable driving it. So it's not too bad. It's just, you know, for a brand new car, I'd expect less sort of odd noises coming from the transmission. So overall, it's a lot of fun to drive, and you know, just like any muscle car, a big part of that is the sound from the engine, and the torque from the engine makes it a lot of fun. But the icing on the cake for this particular car, of course, is that with the 1LE package, you've got the fantastic handling as well to add to that. So driving through twisty roads and driving a little bit on the edge gives you that confidence to push it and really enjoy the car. You know, I think that the next generation is going to address some of the shortcomings of this car, but even as it is, it's a lot of fun, especially driving in these Connecticut back roads. I could drive this car all day and just listen to that engine and feel the torque and twist through the corners. It's a great car to drive. Okay, let's go do the external tour. I'm going to do the external tour a little differently this time. I've put the GoPro on a 3-axis gimbal to stabilize it. Previously I sort of bounced around the outside of the car or used a Steadicam, which didn't work so well. So hopefully this approach will allow us to see the outside a little more smoothly. Actually, I just had a guy drive past, is your gorilla all right? People must wonder what the hell I'm doing. Anyway, on to the external tour. Okay, here we are on the outside, and right away I'm going to say I love the look of the Camaro. It's such a mean looking muscle car, don't you think? Right from the beginning of this generation I've thought it looks awesome, and whenever they have the halo lights on the front there, oh, just fantastic. So I really hope they don't change the look of the Camaro too much in the next generation, because I think they've done such a great job with this one. Obviously this is the 1LE version, which gives us much bigger tires, the 285 tires, which are square, so the 285s on the front and the back, which help with all that grip. He's got the quad tailpipe as well, which looks just fantastic and obviously adds a little bit to the sound. He's put an optional 1LE on the back here instead of the SS, but overall, you know, the black in the hood, the black in the wheels, so sharp on the outside. And this color is called hot red, or red hot, I think. And you know, it matches the brake calipers. It's such a cool look. You know, one of the best things about this car, after the sound of the engine and the power, is the look. I really think you're getting such a fabulous looking car here. If I whip around here and I'll open the hood quickly. Someone's got a model aeroplane zooming around as well, so you might be able to hear that. But yeah, let's just take a look in the hood at this beast of an LS3 engine. Oh, open for me. Here we go. And you know, these small block V8s are actually, as the name would suggest, pretty small. I mean, it's pretty compact. There's actually still plenty of room in the front here. If I tilt this down momentarily here, yeah, there's still plenty of room down here. And as you can see over here, this is the bar that you get with the 1LE package. You get another anti-sway bar on the back as well. But yeah, nice LS3 engine under there. Since we're here, we'll have a quick look in the trunk as well. The trunk has got all my camera gear in it, unfortunately. So the only problem with the trunk is this opening's kind of awkward. Makes it difficult to get stuff in. But once you're in there, it's pretty long and fairly deep. It's you know, for a muscle car, it's pretty good. But yeah, getting stuff in past this small opening can be a bit of a trick. So overall, yeah, I love the look of these Camaros. They are just a fantastic, aggressive looking muscle car. Okay, so next let's take a poke around the interior. And what I'd say about the interior is, you know, this car definitely needs updating on the interior, and I'm sure they'll do that with this next generation that's out next month. This car, there's a lot of bits in the interior that hark back to the days where GM was perhaps going broke or didn't have quite enough money. You know, there's a lot of hard plastics and bits and pieces in this car that, you know, shouldn't be in a car of this price point. That said, it's completely functional, and what they have done is they've thrown in the latest MyLink system, which is really nice. And you know, there's a little color screen in the middle, and it's functional. It does the job. You know, it's not the greatest interior in the world. What I'll do is I'll take you for a tour from the left to the right. So we'll start that now. Over here on the left in the door panel, yeah, there's these big plasticky panels that I guess flow around the car. I guess they're supposed to give some sort of sporty look, but not for me. Window buttons. Actually, if you can see it down here, there's a button for releasing the trunk. And interestingly, the trunk won't release unless you've got the parking brake up. I found that I had to open this damn trunk, but I didn't have the parking brake up. Up here on the wheel, it's an odd shaped wheel. It's kind of not round. Obviously, it's got a flat bottom. I'm tired of flat bottom steering wheels. That fad is over for me. But yes, it's kind of an oval shape other than that. Up here on the left, you've got your cruise control, and your right, you've got the buttons for your radio. If I turn the ignition on, Turning the ignition on this car results in a lot of beeping, 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 so I generally turn it off. But yeah, it's got the old style speedometer and tack on it, which is okay. It's got the green backlit, which sort of reminds me of rental cars, unfortunately. But in the middle, it's got the nice little color screen, which can be adjusted on the stick here, up and down. All the various navigation. I tend to leave it on miles per hour. You wouldn't want to put it on the fuel economy gauge. That would just depress you. Yeah, but nice enough switchgear, GM standard issue GM switchgear around there. And towards the middle is the My Touch system, which is your stereo and your navigation. And it's actually quite nice. You know, the radio is currently powered off. I'll turn that on. You know, the navigation's really nice. It's pretty good for a GM car. And down here are the controls for your HVAC, and they're sort of got a rubber. Almost, I'd always expect to see these in a Jeep. It's got a nice feel to it though. The temperature on this side, the fan on this side, and then the individual controls for where you want the air to go down here, and your heated seats in the middle, and your air conditioning on and off, recirculation, all that sort of stuff in the middle here. And down here you've got your extra dials, which all nicely sit right in the middle when the car's running. Oil pressure, volts, oil temperature, and of course transmission temperature, and they'll sit nicely right in the center when you're driving, so you can spot if anything's wrong. The short throw gear lever, it's got Alcantara on it. I'm not normally a big fan of Alcantara, but it's actually done very nicely in this car. It's got a nice feel to it, and I really like the look of the stick. It's got a really sweet look to it. This parking lever is huge, and it's got a lot of travel to it too. Yeah, I'd be if it was my car, I'd be out trying handbrake slides with it, because it's such a nice big, easy to use. It's like a rally car handbrake. It's pretty neat. Down in the corner there, you see the speakers. This car's got the optional Boston Acoustics sound system, which has got a good, decent amount of bass to it. This car's also got a sunroof. It's got the nice thin bezel mirror. You know, it's not a bad place to be. The seats are definitely need improvement as well. They're comfortable. They're super comfortable, the seats, but they don't give much support. I'm sort of sliding around in these seats, but I guess they're made for, you know, they have to go with the lowest common denominator in these muscle cars, and they figure that some bigger chaps and chapettes will be driving in this car, so they have to make it comfortable for large boned people like you two back there. So yeah, they don't give a lot of support, but they're comfortable enough. And in the middle, of course, we've got 2 cup holders, and there's a little yep, if I knew how to open that, here we go, there's a little space for your sunglasses and drugs and so forth, and of course a pretty decent glove compartment. So yeah, that's the front of the interior. I'll jump into the rear and we'll see how I fit in the rear with the gorillas back there. So I'll fold the seat forward, I'll unclip this, so get that out of the way. Okay, William, you gotta move your ass, come on, out of there. Go sit on the roof. Good boy. Okay, in we get. Ooh, Hey Albert, how you doing back here? It's pretty comfortable for a gorilla, but for me as a 6 foot tall male human being-ish, this is not going to work for me. This is a bit like being in a 911 back here. In fact, it is exactly like being in a 911 back here. But I guess, I would guess maybe a 5'5", 5'4" person would probably be able to squeeze back here. I mean, apart from the shortage of headroom and leg room, the seats back here are really very comfortable. Yeah, you know, it's not so bad. And something to note while I'm squeezed in the back here is the view, this quarter panel view, and how impossible it is to see if you're turning right and you're trying to look at traffic this way. This is very difficult to see traffic back here. It's I guess it's the design, this late 60s design. Looks cool from the outside, but makes driving this car a little tricky. But yeah, if you're just a little 5 foot or 4 foot tall gorilla, it's pretty good back here, huh? Yeah, pretty good. But yeah, nice and comfortable, but certainly I wouldn't be going too far in the back seat of this car. Okay, so what are my conclusions on the Chevy Camaro SS with the 1LE package? Well, overall, this is a fantastic car. You know, I really have enjoyed driving this car today. It's just so much fun to drive. So yeah, you know, I think the number one thing I love about this car, of course, is the engine. That pushrod V8 has just got such a great sound, a great delivery of torque. It's a lot of fun. The next thing would be, of course, despite its weight, this car actually handles very well, and I think a lot of that comes down to this 1LE track package. It really surprised me. Despite, you know, this being a bit of a porker underneath, I had no trouble handling this car, even going pretty fast into some pretty tight corners. It really handled very well, so I'm very impressed with the handling. The next thing I'd say is the look of the car. You know, this 1LE package with the black covered hood and the black wheels and the big wheels, you know, just the overall external look of this car is fantastic. It's very sharp. I really love the look of it. In fact, I'd still like the Camaro a little bit more than the current Mustang, I think. You know, it's just such a classic shape. So I'm hoping they're not going to change the shape too much in the next generation. The downsides for this car, well, I think the transmission needs work on it. You know, it's an easy enough transmission to use, but you know, for a brand new car, it shouldn't be making, you know, these graunching sounds. Maybe it's just this particular one, but from what I believe, a lot of them have these noises. So hopefully they improve the transmissions in the future cars. It needs a little bit of weight loss on it, which I'm sure they'll do with the next generation. And of course, fuel economy. Not that you ever buy one of these cars for fuel economy, but this car has got the fuel economy of a World War II tank, and I think that would grind on some people after a while, having to stop at every gas station you see. But overall, you know, those tiny, and I guess the only other gripe I've got is the interior needs updating, but you know, no big deal. Once again, you're not buying this car for its interior, you're buying this car for the driving fun, and that's really what this car is all about. It really is a lot of fun for your money. You're really getting a terrific car here. So yeah, overall, I've loved driving this Camaro all day today. It's so much fun, and I can certainly understand why people would get one. And right now, of course, as I said before, it being the end of a generation, there are deep discounts on this particular on these model Camaros, whether it's the SS or not. They're all getting quite heavily discounted because the new model's coming out. So if you want to get a cheap Camaro, run out and get one now. Anyway, I wanted to thank everyone for watching, and if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you in next week's video, and the grillers and I say goodbye. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.